So now the question that everyone asks is, how much did this whole thing cost? And it cost me So we got a lot to do today, but before we jump into it, I do want to thank Muzada for sponsoring this video. They gave me a hefty discount on all this hardware, and their design team has been incredible to work with. I mean, this is quite daunting when you look at the amount of hardware that goes into this. All of this stuff is everything that it takes. I can tell you, when I was unboxing all this, I was a little intimidated, but we're just gonna take it step by step and I'll walk you guys exactly how to do this. And their design team told me, once you do get the hang of it, it really is just rinse and repeat and pretty simple. So I'm excited to walk you guys through this and let's see how easy this actually is. Before Muzada even reached out, I was planning on doing these cable railings regardless, but it was kind of overwhelming diving through all the websites, trying to figure out what hardware I need, what corner pieces go where, because there's a lot to it. But I was able to get in touch with Muzada's design team and they put together a full parts list of everything. All you have to do is you give them the overall dimensions of your deck and they put everything together for you. So I don't know if you can see this here, but this is a layout of my deck right there. And they lay out where each post has to go, what type of hardware, and it's just super slick. So I've been super impressed with the team so far, but let's get back to laying this thing out. Let me give you a little walkthrough here. So this is gonna be the back side of the home. 4 posts go here. I've started laying out where all the posts go, but the posts run all the way down here. I'll show you guys how I'm doing this staircase. I'm actually gonna have railings going down to here. You can't tell, but this is like a 5 to 6 foot drop. So we definitely wanna have railings here, but then I'm gonna stop the railings there and not have them continue along the path, mainly because this is only a couple inches off the ground and it just makes the aesthetic of the barrel sauna look so much cooler. Back to it over here, we have this huge stretch. This is almost 50 feet long. Then we wrap all the way around to the hot tub and they'll actually wrap around and return back. And now it's time to drain the hot tub. I'll explain this a little better. This is why I had to drain the tub, because the cover right there, you can see it falls past the edge of the deck right there. So we just gotta scooch it a couple more inches that way and we'll be good to go. All right, welcome back to day 2. So we've finished all the cable railings. Just kidding. I've seen a couple of you in the comments being like, how come he jumps from 20% to 100%? I just want to see the whole process. This video, we are going to dive into the details of the cable railing. And I sort of wanted to walk through doing one whole process, like start to finish, on just a little stretch of the railing here, so that I can show you guys some of the tips and tricks I learned along the way to make cable railings as easy as possible. Because they are a little bit daunting at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's really simple. So let me give you a quick little tour on what I've done so far. This is the system so far. I learned the process is to install the post, install the railings after, attach the railings to the post, lock down and level all of your posts, and then you run all the wires. I know that sounds simple, but there are a few tips and tricks that I learned that'll make your cable railing installation super easy. Also, check out the cedar hollow. It's looking so good. We're almost there. I've probably got like 2 to 3 more weeks and this whole thing will be done and live on Airbnb. I've also done one stretch of the railings here just because it is a little bit intricate and you have to do the processes a little bit different. So I'll be walking you guys through the railing set in the front of the house and showing you guys the quickest way to do railings. Picking up where I left off, I laid out each of the posts. You can see that none of these are actually fastened down yet. We're gonna be doing that here in a second. What I ended up doing was I laid out all of the railings all the way down the deck to make sure that my spacing checks out between each post. Because right now they're spaced out every 4 feet, but I didn't want to have one that's like 4 feet, 4 feet, 4 feet, 2 feet, you know? We're here at the feature corner of the deck. This is the view that I intended to be like the main Airbnb listing photo. It has a really cool view of the hot tub, all the string lights, sauna, just everything when you're looking this way at the house. So we're gonna start here and make sure that the spacing is absolutely perfect all the way down. As we get a little bit further down, we can sort of cheat the 6 inches that we have overhanging of the railing that we're gonna cut back and slowly hide that little gap throughout all the posts here. So let's dive into setting the first post. So for setting the posts, they're all pretty much the same except for corners. Corners have a little variation, it's pretty much the same, but I'll tell you what it is. So you'll get these corner setting bags, which they'll have these 4 half-inch lags, which if you're doing 1,000 square feet of deck with railings all the way around, you're gonna wanna pick up a 1/2-inch socket adapter with an extension. Because if you don't have an extension, you're not gonna be able to get a straight attack angle at it, as opposed to with the socket extension, which gives you a little more play and able to attack that bolt straight down. Okay, so for setting the post, the location of the post goes on the deck. you have to keep in mind you want all of your lags to sit into the treated lumber. In my case, I have 1-inch thick cedar on top and 2x10s underneath working as runners, running the entire perimeter of the deck. So to get in from the finished deck boards, we have to go in 1 inch. And then the dimensional lumber is 1.5 inches thick, so that means an extra 3/4 inch, about 1.5 inches, 1 3/4 off to make sure that I lag into a solid dimensional lumber piece. So take my tape measure, I'll go 1.5 inches there, 1.5 inches there. Before setting the corner post, you got to keep in mind that this corner plate, which attaches to both this run and this run of the deck, it has to sit on top like that. And there's only one way it'll sit because you have the 2 holes this way and the 2 holes this way. And if it's turned, this thing won't sit properly on it. So you want to make sure that you test fit, that this plate will go over and the holes are lined up, and then set it down like that, and then you can set your lag. And then you pre-drill the holes so that you're not splitting the lumber when you're actually setting the lag. Take our impact and some of our lags here, and we'll set the first one. So in my case, I only have 1 2x10 running the entire perimeter of the deck. And ideally, if I were to build the deck again, I think I would do 2 2x10s running along the whole perimeter so that I don't have to add backing. Like for example, this lag furthest in won't hit any dimensional lumber. So I have to add this backing. I just pretty much cut a little 2x6. Gonna take a bunch of 3-inch screws and fasten it on the underside here. So I'll go do that real quick. All right, there we go, the backing's installed. Now when I pre-drill and set the lag, this is gonna catch a piece of lumber. Also, I'm using 11/64 drill bits for the pre-drilling, which is a little bit small, but you're gonna need a whole bunch of these drill bits for pre-drilling and all the railings. So I just bought like 5 or 6 of them, and it has to be 11/64. If it's any bigger or any smaller, it won't work. I found out the hard way. I tried a bunch and it didn't work. We'll check level. I got a little 24-inch level. It's like we need to come in this way, and I like to fine tune this once I get all 4 lags set. Then we just sort of tweak each bolt accordingly. And you want to make sure you definitely don't over tighten these lags, otherwise you'll just start to strip them. If you torque it a little bit and it's not moving at all, make sure to stop because it's totally locked in, and you'll just have to loosen the other side a little bit to get perfectly level. There we go, perfectly level. Make sure you don't forget to put these cover plates on. Found out the hard way, because once you put all the wires in, you would have to take out each individual wire to get this plate down here. So make sure as soon as the 4 lags are in, just drop that cover plate on, and that just sits there and covers all the lags. Okay, then we'll fasten this top plate down. There you have it. This top corner plate's on. These 2 smaller Allen key bolts are holding this guy down, and this thing is not going anywhere, especially when it's tied into all the rest of them down here. Before we set the next post, we're gonna set the railing on top to get an accurate measurement on where the next post needs to go. And to do that, with the corner post, you slide this cool little corner post insert into the top rail. Then I roughly set it on top right there just to give me an idea on where it's gotta go. So once the corner piece inserts in, I line it up so there's even spacing on either side for this block coming out this way, because this is the way the railing's gonna go. You can see that it's just gonna sit directly on top of this plate. So then we go over here and we know this post has to be just about centered on this. And you do have a little bit of play with the top bracket that sits on top, so it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. So it's pretty much the same process for the corner it is for lagging in the next post. I'm gonna go lag this in and show you how we set the 3rd post that makes up like one section of the system. Throw the top cap in. Now we're gonna set this top rail just like that. It has to be perfectly squared up here, making sure that the overhangs are all equal on each side. Fun part where I drilled a hole in my shoulder at the Pacific bin, but this time I'm not gonna do that, knock on wood. So we take our 11/64 drill bit and drill in the holes that are already in the plate through the railing and also through the block. For reference, this is that top plate that's on top of the post. We're gonna be drilling through these 2 holes so that these screws, the lagging screws, will pop through just like that on all the plates, and those actually fasten the railing to the post. Like I mentioned, 11/64. Don't go any bigger, don't go any smaller. If it's bigger, the screws won't hold. If it's smaller, you're gonna strip out the threads on the screws. So go buy a bunch of 11/64 if you're doing it. Oh, you know what? I got an idea. I got these adorable little clamps for doing some cabinet stuff the other day. And I think it's gonna work really well for holding this guy on while I'm screwing so that the railing doesn't fall off. Look at that, innovation. Everyone's probably been yelling at me like, just use clamps. Boom, there we go. First one in. Also, the way I drilled the hole in my shoulder was by drilling up like this, and the drill slipped and went right into my shoulder. Then we take these blocks, slide them in, and it helps to join the railing, but it also helps to align everything so it's perfectly straight down the run. So the next step here is to measure the total distance between the two posts. The total distance between the two plates is 74 inches, so 37 inches will be halfway, which will be right where this post will go. So we'll go 37 inches on center, do the same process here with all the legs, all the backing, attach the top plate, and then we'll fasten it to the underside here. So I'll go knock that out real quick. So that's the first little section, and now I'm just rinse and repeat and keep doing that all the way down the deck, and I'll show you a bunch of fun time lapses of me cranking it out before we go get to the cable portion. And we'll probably see you in the daylight because this is going to take me the rest of the night. Now that all the railings have been installed, we're gonna start installing the cables that run between these, and I'll walk you through the process. It's actually really simple. There's just a lot of hardware and a lot of steps, and once you get a rhythm going, it goes really quick. So for the cable railings, we're using the stainless steel cable, which looks really good. It accents the black and the cedar super well, giving that like industrial look. But the way that you install them is, so I already cut this to length. You can see if you look all the way down here, I cut this just a little bit longer than what it needs to be to fit this whole run. What you start is you take the fresh cut side of the cable and the tensioner, so the tensioner actually loosens up like this. And then the steel cable fits right into the tensioner like that. And then you take the crimper tool, which Musada actually sells on their website as well, and you just crank down on it. I don't know if you can see if you get nice and close, but it crimps it. And you just want to go till it's snug, and then you loosen it, and you can see, I don't know if you can see against the, so you can see here, this is where it's been crimped, and this guy is not going anywhere. So what we do now is take the threaded portion, push it through, take the back end of the tensioner, put it on the back side, which this is where you'll find out if you installed your railings correctly, if all the holes are on the right sides. So we secure it in. I put like 2 turns on it just so it's not falling out when we're feeding it post to post. So once the first piece is secured in, you then take these black washers, and there's little adhesive backing that you have to stick on, and you slide one on like that, one on like that, so that the adhesive is out on each side, because the adhesive ultimately is going to attach on the inside of these posts. Then you push it through the post, just like that, and you can pull it through, which I'm just pulling this through to give you guys reference. So then you'll just pull off the little paper backing, slide it up against the post, and slide it up against the post over there. And you just keep rolling all the way down the line. So we'll go plow through this line real quick, and then I'll show you exactly how we're gonna attach the other side. Okay, so we're on the other side here, and you can see that all the washers are on the cable. You want to make sure you hit every single one, because otherwise you're going to be taking this cable out and re-putting them back on, and it's a total pain. I've done it a couple times. You don't want to do it. So I cut the cable a little bit long here, and what we're going to do is cut it to length. So on this end of the railing, we actually use this little T bracket that we splice on. So you can see here if you get nice and close. So the stainless cable actually sits right inside this guy, and the way it works is it pretty much bends like that and sits like this inside of the railing. What you do is you pull the steel cable pretty much tight, and then you line it up. So the way I do it is I like to have half of this little T bracket sticking past this way and the other half sitting by the pole just as a reference point, and then I pull it nice and tight, And then I just hold it there. I grab the little snipper tools that they provide, snip the cable just like that, double check one more time because you're gonna have to redo the entire cable if you get it wrong here. You can see we're about half this way, lined up with the hole. And then we hold it flush like that so you can see the cable is right there at the end. And then we use the crimper tool again. I gotta go up one more stair. We use the crimper tool. Same deal, we just go till it's snug, loosen the crimper, and you can see that's what the crimper did right there. So same deal, this thing isn't going off. And then I like to put a little bend in the cable like that so you can see it's bent. And you can see, look, it doesn't fit, right? I can't, as much as I stretch it, I can't get it in. So what I do is I actually loosen the tensioner completely on the other side so the other side dangles down. Go to the other side and I loosen the tensioner completely to the point where it's just dangling on the ground. So now the other end is completely detached. You have all the slack to just be able to push it in the hole. And you can see it's clicked in just like that. And it's not coming out. So now you just gotta be careful and make sure it doesn't fall out. And then we run back to the other side, make sure that none of these washers have fallen off. You put the little tensioner bracket on the back side. This one, you secure it in the hole, you push it snug, put a couple turns on it. I like to grab a set of pliers just to be able to hold this bracket so that the cable doesn't spin on me. And you take the Allen keys that they provided, put it in the back side there, and you just crank away. You don't want to make it super tight, but you definitely want it pretty snug. You can see I probably did like 10 cranks on it. Cable's nice and snug, and we're ready to go do this a bunch more. So that's pretty much how you do the cables. Now I'm gonna go plow through the rest of this deck, set all the cables along this front run. You can see I've already done this run here, so that's sort of an idea of giving you what the final product looks like. And then this next bit, which I'm super excited for, is this huge stretch of railing. And then you can see this entire long 50-foot stretch of railing is next. So I was just making sure we really knew the process before we dove into like the feature piece. So here's a bunch of cool time lapses of us plowing through the rest of the cables. So then Em and I started on the front deck area, which the straight part and the corners are exactly like the back deck, but the only difference is right at the joint where the angle pivots down, there's this cool little angle directional bracket, and then the stair posts that have little standoffs on them that connect to the stair railing. Then you connect all the cables and you're good to go. I'm gonna mention too, so another big selling point on these Musada cable railings was that they give you a full integrated system, which when I was looking at some other cable railings, I noticed that on like the junctions where it goes from a straight portion like this down to a sloped railing, they would pretty much have a break in the post, like where they stop from the straight, just like normal bits, and then another part that starts up, so there'd be a break in the action. But here there's a nice transition piece, so your hand can just continue all the way down without like having a break where you could like catch a finger in it or something. So, but overall, big fan of how this turned out. So now for a little tour coming from the sauna area over here over to the main 1,000 square foot deck. So come right down here, we got the nice little railing that's going up to protect you from falling down there. But yeah, these things just look so clean, nice clean corners. And then how's that for a 50-foot stretch? So this 50-foot stretch looks so good. You really got to see it in real life to just really appreciate it. But this is what I was talking about with being able to see through, like even from the camera view, you can hardly see these cables, especially with all the greenery going on in the background. So that was one huge selling point, which at nighttime you can tell even more, or can't tell even more because you can't really see them, because all you see is the little string lights hanging over above, and you can just see all the forest and the trees. So it looks really good. Here's the full tour. So starting at the cold plunge over here, we got this guy that wraps around 10 feet. We head all the way out to the forest. Look at that view with all the string lights up there, so cool. And you got this little stretch that goes out to the sauna, the 50-foot stretch that lines the main feature part of the deck. And then over by the huge 7-person hot tub, which is overkill, but why not? And this just wraps all the way around. So now the question that everyone asks is, how much did this whole thing cost? And it cost me $10,000 for this entire 130-foot normal straight runs, plus 20 feet total of stairs going down. There's just a little bit more hardware, so the stair portions are a little bit more expensive, which sounds like a big number at first, but when you break it down, it works out to be about $65 per lineal foot, which is not bad at all considering the level of quality. I can honestly say, whether sponsored video or not moving forward, I'm 100% using these Musada cable railings on any future build. So end of the day, I want to thank Musada for sponsoring this video. If you go to the top link at the top of the description and enter code DEVON8 at checkout, you'll get 8% off your cable railing. So it knocks that roughly $65 per lineal foot of railing down to like $60 or just under 60. So you'll save a couple bucks there. So I want to thank you guys for following along. Let me know if you have any questions down below. And in the next video, I'm going to be giving you a little tour of the inside. This is really cool. I've learned a lot of lessons from the bin, so I'm excited to show you guys. But we'll see you in the next video. Thanks, Musada, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace.